Hello guys, welcome to this video. In this video we are going to build a AI agent inside SMS. So for the AI agent builder we are going to use Voiceflow. If you don't have an account in Voiceflow, there's a link in the description where you can sign up. And once you are signed up, you can create a project. And yeah, the project will be very simple for this video. We'll have an agent step which is going to gather 3 important information. The business type, the customer service challenge, and also the email address. We have here some instructions to be like professional, and also the AI module we are going to use is Claude. If you want to use a different AI module, you can select one of those. We have GPTs, we have Claude, we have Geminis, DeepSeek, Llamas. So you can choose whatever LLM module suits you. And then we have also a exit pod. So the exit pod is once it got the 3 answers, the industry, the biggest challenge, and also the email, it will then continue, and it will continue to the post API call where we are going to give the answers to this API call and eventually putting it inside the Google Sheet. So yeah, it's just very simple. You can drag here the agent step, create a new agent, give it some instructions. Once you've given it some instructions, you can choose your AI module, create several or one exit path, and you can choose if you want to give it access to the knowledge base. And if so, you can give it in a description. Okay, so once you have created your agent step with your exit paths, you have to run it, test it out, and then publish it if you are satisfied, and then copy your API key. So your API key, you can find it over here at interfaces, and you have to go to API keys and then copy your primary key and save it somewhere, because we will need this somewhere. Once you have done that, we are going to move to the connector between Voiceflow and the SMS, and we are going to use make.com for that. So make.com will be functioning as the connector. I'm assuming also that you already have a phone number inside Twilio, assuming you already have a phone number in Twilio. And once you are in Twilio, you have to go to your active phone number and then go to the phone number, and then you will see something like this, the webhooks. Also for messaging configuration, you will see a webhook with an URL. So this will be also imported in a moment. So I have here the actual automation, which you can see working at the end of this video. And over here, I'm going to import the same automation, so which you can do also by yourself. And this is basically without any credentials of mine. This one has a lot of credentials. So if I go to this, you can see here my API key is deleted. So in the description you will find this template. You can just import it, and I'm going to explain what you have to do next. And also I'm going to explain for your image how it works and how you can modify this in your way. So you have your phone number, and we are inside the messaging configuration. So over here, the first module will be a webhook module. You have to create a webhook first and save your webhook URL. And that webhook URL, you will need it over here. You have to paste it under messaging configuration next to webhook, and then under URL, you have to paste your webhook URL over there, important. And then click on save. What you can do next to test it out, you can right click on your mouse and run this module, and you can send an SMS to that phone number. And it should give you a list similar as this. Let me go to this one. It should give you a list with the country, the body, and the from phone number. So this is the phone number where it received the message from. So this will be also important. So once you have tested that out and it's working successfully, let's continue to the webhook response. The reason why I have this webhook response is because if we don't have this, it will each time once we are sending it a message, it will say accepted and then our answer. Accepted, answer. So with this webhook response, we avoid that. So keep that in and keep the message also like this. And then we are going to continue to the get user state. Inside this module, you will have to paste your API key. And again, this API key, you just copied it inside Voiceflow. And again, make sure your project is published and you have run your chatbot once, or else it won't work. So let's go back. So over here, it will say if it will need a variable. This variable is right now not filled in. In your case, once your test with your webhook was successful, you will get a bunch of variables, and then the variable from, you will have to paste it over here. We got also this URL from Voiceflow API reference. So the first one was fetch state. So let's go to state API endpoints and then fetch state. And you can see here, it gives us a URL and the method. The method is get, and this is the URL. Copy this URL, or in this case, if you have imported the automation, you don't need to copy it, but the only thing you have to adjust is to give it here the correct variable, the phone number. And it must be a variable, so it's always dynamically. The method is get, the authorization, your API key, version ID is production, and parse response, important. Let's go back to the actual automation, which is working in my case. You can see here the results. So this was the get user state, and in this flow, it was for a existing user, and it will give us some data. So if you open the data and you will go to the variables, you will see here the last response, the user ID, and yeah, it knows this person, it exists. If the data was empty, it means it was a new user and you have to create the user over here. So let's go back, I think over here. Yeah, so over here, it went to the new user pod, and the reason why it was because the data was empty. So if it's a new user, the data will be empty, and then it should go to this pod. And if after it was created, it will go on that pod, and then you will have the data points. Okay. So after this API module, the fetch user state, we have two variables. Two filters, sorry. We have the new user filter and the existing user filter. And what this is basically going to do, the existing user, it will get the phone number from this module, and again, you have to re-give it a actual variable. In this case, you will see a concept. But from the webhook, you will get the from, the phone number, and the user ID. And the user ID and from should be exactly the same. If they are equal to, so if they are the same, then it will go to this spot. If they are not equal, in this case, from, and then if it's a new user, like I said, the data will be empty, of course. It will not go to this spot. And also, it knows, for example, if it's an existing user, hey, this variable and this variable are the same, but I can only continue on this path if they are not equal, so I cannot continue. And this flow, it says equal to, so then it will go to this path. Maybe there are better methods. I use this method and it's working fine for me. Yeah, what you should do to test it out is to create first a user. So this module will create a user. You have to give it the phone number. of the user ID, session ID, and then the method, post, authorization, your Voiceflow API key, version ID, production, and then launch it. We have done it inside with this launch, and then parse response is not needed. Here we have created a session inside Voiceflow, and from here it will also memorize like the chat, so it knows where it was in the end. So if the get user state was empty, the data was empty, it will go to this path, it will create a user, and then it will follow the rest. And in your case, you don't have the variable yet from this. What you should do is create a user, and then once you've created, you can fetch the state, and then you will get all the data points from this module, and you can use the data point inside your filters. So then after that, your filters are also configured. So yeah, this is how you have to configure the filters first. But okay, so again, we got all the information over here inside Voiceflow API reference. This was for the dialogue, the interact. So we have here the interact, and which is the next module. So the create interaction is basically this URL. We have to give it again the user ID and interact. So the same thing what we did over here. The URL, the variable is dynamically, the method is post, authorization, your API key again, and those headers as well. And then eventually you'd have to give it the request content is the body from the webhook, and the body is basically the message I've sent it in SMS. So let's go to the actual automation so I can show you a example. So this is the body, and I said no time. We'll be giving it the AI agent in Voiceflow the body, and it will answer what we have sent it to. So example, this is the same module, create interaction, and then we have given it here. So I said here payload is no time, and then it answered in the output, it answered my question. So if you go to data, payload, message, here you can see the answer from the agent step in Voiceflow. I totally get that no time is the biggest constraint for e-commerce owners, etc., etc. So in the create interaction module, you have to give it also the body and in this formatting. Yeah, this module is exactly the same as this module. Both flows are the same, but this is for the new users where we are going to create the user first, and then we are sending the message. And then once they've responded on the first message, from there we will go only on the existing user. Okay, so right now we have created a response. Again, payload, message, we have this response. But now we have to send this response to the user. And we are going to use the last two HTTP modules. And yeah, I know we have in Voiceflow the Twilio module. So let me type in Twilio and then create a message. You can also use that, but I've noticed with using a HTTP request, it goes a bit faster than with the Twilio. Sometimes with the Twilio module, it took me like 2 or 3 minutes until we got a response. Whereas with this, most of the times it immediately sends us a response back. So you can choose. This is easier to set up, of course. You need to connect it, your SID, your auth token, and there you go. And it will then ask like messaging service and also the body. You can choose, you can test out both. I'm using a make basic auth request. This is different than the make request, where we have to authorize first. So let's go to this module. It will ask me the credentials, and the credentials, if you go to Twilio, to your account dashboard, you will find your account SID, and also your auth token. And this is basically your username and password. So, yeah. So username, you'd have to give it your account SID, and then also password, your auth token. The method is post. The headers will be authorization, and then basic, and then again your auth token. So let's say your auth token. I basically gave Claude my my blueprint in JSON, and it deleted, it sanitized all the sensitive credentials. So in your case, you get like this whole automation without my credentials, but it made some mistakes here. So basic, and then your auth token. Again, your auth token is what you have used here in your create keychain. It was your password. So you have to reuse it again inside under authorization and after basic. Over here, make sure there's a space between. Content type, Twilio is not accepting JSONs. It is only accepting URL encoded. So the value must be this. Body type, the same thing. And then message service ID is, if you go to Twilio and you type in message services. So message services. If you click on that, on the left side you will see your project name, and then in the middle you will see your message service SID. That SID number, you have to fill it in here. It is not your account SID. That won't work. It has to be your message service SID. And yeah, so make sure it's only, the value is that. 2 is the phone number you received the SMS from, and the key is the payload message. So the message from the AI. So payload message. So make sure you open, you select the correct variable. Yeah, so yeah, again, this block is going to get the answer, and then it's going to interact on that. And since we are inside the session ID, it knows like which block we are inside Voiceflow. So that will work as well. Yeah, so that's it actually in this flow. This is the connector. Again, we will receive an SMS. This is to avoid the accepted message inside the SMS. We will get the user state. If it's a new user and the data is empty, we'll go to this flow, create a user, read and interact on the message, and then send it to the user. I can also rename it like send SMS. Same thing with this one. Send SMS. Voila. And yeah, this module is basically the same as this one. This module is the same as this one. And like I said, I found all of this information inside the API reference. So you can do more. You can, if it's like more complicated, you can find here more information about updating variables, interact stream, and fetch state, delete state. For example, with the delete state, I have used it inside my actual automation over here. This is just for me for testing purposes. So I can like each time delete the session ID and create a new one to see if the filters are working, for example. If you want to test it out in the same way, you can or go to Postman, or like create an HTTP module inside Voiceflow, and you have to use this endpoint inside your HTTP module of Postman with your authorization. Yeah, literally follow the steps over here, and it will delete the session ID, and it will basically forget the whole chat it had before with you. So yeah, that's basically the most important thing of this video, the connector between Voiceflow and SMS and with Twilio. And then inside Voiceflow, again, we have this post API call where we are going to send the email, biggest challenge, and type to make.com. And in make.com, we will receive it and send it to the Google Sheet. So make sure the action in Google Sheet is add a row. Yeah, email, biggest problem. Make sure everything is like correctly fill it in. And I'm also giving this away in the description. You need only to fill it in. You'd only have to fill in a form, and then you will get all of this information. And yeah, so once we have sent the post API call, we will end the flow, and that's it. And this is a basic flow. You can make it more complicated, of course. Also with the SMS connector in make.com, you can give it a bit more actions. Like for example, if it's an image, it recognizes it as an image. You can send a standard message like, "Hey, we don't read any images," for example. Yeah, you can do much more, but this works in most cases, and you can send like SMSs to the user. If you have like specific questions, you want to add some other things, what you can do is like click on the 3 dots here, export the blueprint, and then in JSON you will have everything, and then you can send it to, for example, to Claude or to ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever you are using, and tell it like, okay, this is the flow what we have right now, and I want to integrate this and this and this. How can I do that? Yeah, for Twilio, I was assuming you already had a phone number. If you don't have, make a phone number, make sure it is verified and everything works. Add some money in it. The minimum is like 20 USD. You have to add some money on your phone number, and then you can test it out. If you don't know how to create a phone number, there are many tutorials where they are showing you how to create a phone number. Again, I was assuming you already had a phone number. So yeah, this is it for the video. In the description you can find the links to Voiceflow, make.com, the templates from in this video we are using, the Voiceflow template, the connector template, and also the demo template. Yeah, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask it in the comments. And if you want to work together, just book a meeting inside the link, the Google Meet, and I will speak with you then. All right, thank you for watching. See you the next time. Bye. So yeah, let's send it first a SMS. I will say hi. So I just sent my message, hi. And you can see the automation in make.com. It went on, and it went to the new user path. And voila, just received an SMS. And basically the create interaction is that this agent is going to read and answer my question, and the output from that we are going to use in the post API call, in the last API call. So let's send it another message. It's going to ask me my industry, so I will say e-commerce this time. E-commerce. So you can see the automation in make.com. It just went on, and voila, new message. The last question will be the second last question will be my biggest challenge. I will say no time. Again, the automation will go on. This block is the Voiceflow agent step, which is going to answer my question. And there you go, new SMS. Last question is my email. Once I have filled in my email, this one will go on and it will fill in my information in Google Sheet. So again, my email address is abdullahyahya123@outlook.com. So just send my email. It's right now on, and this automation is right now running, and there you go. Here we go, Abdullah Yahya, no time e-commerce. Perfect.